That was perfect.
Hi, I'm Ken Merritt, Director of Player Development for the Nick.Bo.llet.tieri Tennis Academy. This is a hard hat only video because we're going to be working on the fundamental principles of how to hit the killer forehand. Hitting a killer forehand isn't just about physical size and strength. Look at this little guy here. He's 4 foot nothing, but he's got the proper technique and the proper fundamentals to give him the big, powerful forehand. Yeah! He's a little guy, but he's got the makings of a big killer forehand through proper technique, and we're going to show you those techniques. I want to introduce to you now the creator of the big forehand, the killer forehand, Nick.Bo.llet.tieri.
Here we go. You're going to hit that forehand every opportunity that you have.
Excellent with the feet. This, stay down, stay down. Overhead. Hard.
I want 5 out of 5 to go in.
That's a mentality that you have to have. Don't fight it.
You let the ball drop too low.
That was a forehand.
Nope, that's another forehand.
Forehand, stay down.
Absolutely perfect.
That's excellent.
The killer forehand is going to be a steady Eddie stroke. The mentality is going to be that I'm not going to miss it. It's the same as any other stroke, but you're going to utilize it and utilize it and utilize it. Utilize your feet, your movement, your mentality. Everything that you are doing is building up to have one of the biggest killer forehands in the world.
You know, I'm a simple guy, simple teacher. But as the game moves on, you have to have some scientific approaches. And I've got some scientists working. They're off the wall. But you know what? Their scientific approach is the same basic way that I teach the game. Hey, Bob, that's beautiful, baby. That's your foundation. Now go forward. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want.
I'm Professor Fester, and welcome to our Research Center. Our current study analyzes the vital elements of the killer forehand. Here we have a fine specimen acquired from Belgium that we have recently introduced to the ATP Tour. His name is Xavier Malisse, otherwise known as Test Subject X. As you can see, X seems to be developing nicely. Now, for you specimens at home, we have created the Killustrator to allow you to compare your forehand to that of the killer forehand. All right, folks, here's how it works. First, you're going to need a camcorder, a tripod, a dry erase marker, and a clear overlay sheet. Place the clear overlay sheet on your television set. When the Killustrator comes up on our video, pause it with your VCR. Trace it, draw the outline of it. Then shoot from the same angle with your camcorder, draw it, date it, check for development later on. Through the course of this video, we're going to show you all the ingredients necessary to develop the killer forehand.
We'll show you the correct techniques for both movement and stroke. You'll learn the pros and cons of the various grips, how to create an athletic foundation for better power and balance, first step reaction technique, all about footwork strides and footwork patterns, early and direct racket preparation. We'll analyze the various hitting stances, your swing line, and increasing your racket speed, the benefits of using the opposite arm. You'll learn a new technique called hip loading, and how to properly recover after the stroke. Each of these areas are vital to the development of the killer forehand. In addition, you'll see how Nick.Bo.llet.tieri trained some of his top players like Xavier Malisse, Tommy Haas, and Elena Bovina. So Let's get started.
When I first began teaching the game of tennis, there were certain ways and only certain ways to hold the grip. Today is very different. It has a major bearing on your style of play.
It all starts with the grip, the grab-it habit. There are three commonly used grips of the killer forehand: the Eastern, semi-Western, and full Western. Talk to your coach, find out which one's right for you, and then stick with it.
The Eastern grip is a very versatile grip. It offers great power and spin options and can handle balls in any part of the strike zone. The semi-Western grip is popular with professional players. It's great for producing both power and spin with balls higher in the strike zone. The Western grip feels very comfortable to smaller players who deal with balls high in the strike zone. It's good for producing heavy topspin, but balls lower in the strike zone can be very difficult to handle. Whichever grip you choose, stick with it and practice it often. It will take months of practice before you develop a reliable habit.
When ripping the killer forehand, players like X always use the same grip. The question is, however, just how tightly do you hold the racket?
Actually, I hold it better than just tight enough to keep it in my hand.
Grip the racket as you normally would and take a look at your fingertips. If you see them turning white, you're gripping too tight.
You hold it too tight. That means your body is coming back beyond the stomach. You have to flex it. Let your hands work. Let him work. Let him be free. Starting foundation. The quick step, the adjustment, a ball coming at you. Without that strong foundation, Michael Jordan couldn't get free when three people are guarding. Another person couldn't get through to hit that impossible forehand. It all comes from the originating position of the strong foundation.
If I've heard Nick say strong foundation once, I've heard him say it 1,000,000 times. To Nick, a strong foundation all starts with the ready position to allow you to be strong through all your movements and all your strokes. This prototype training device allows you to develop all the qualities needed, like a good, strong posture and back position. Hips drop down to a low center of gravity and a wide base to allow you to reflex and move to various positions on the court to hit the killer forehand.
Like a downhill skier, lowering your hip position or center of gravity will improve your quickness, power, and stability. The athletic movement trainer regulates the height of your center of gravity as you practice, building into habit the correct body position and footwork. Adjusted specifically for your height, the bungee cord will resist and remind you when you were using incorrect technique. In match play, you should play every point as if you were wearing an athletic movement trainer.
She makes contact with the ball, being a big girl especially, she lifts up. When she lifts up, she can't get underneath the ball at all. It's impossible. Now what this helping device is doing for me is making her keep the lower part of the body down and utilize the legs. And That's what I need. I need lower body use in the ground zone. And this is going to remind you, okay? I've really been very, very hesitant using any devices in teaching the game of tennis. But the use of the legs and staying down with your lower body is extremely important. And this training belt is the answer. It's fantastic. We've worked and worked to get that strong lower foundation. Why? Strong down below, strong up above. And that's the key, to have perfect foundation for the lower and upper part of the body. With that in mind, the techniques will stay constant. Apply it to the game.
The next test we're going to do is about controlled momentum. In tennis, that means when the lower body stops, the upper body stops with it. We call it the waiter test. Thank you. Good stuff.
In the left picture, trace the yellow line of X's athletic position. Notice his strong back posture with his weight forward on the balls of his feet. The picture on the right used to look at your athletic height. Your ideal athletic height will be approximately 1 foot lower than your standing height. That means if your normal standing height is 6 feet, your ideal athletic height will be around 5 feet.
To the killer forehand, the shoulders are nice and level. The upper body is very still. That's important. The whole foundation is built on a solid piece of rock.
Today in the lab, we're working on the first step reaction footwork, trying to find the proper technique to go from at rest into motion, to turn your big forehand into a killer forehand.
For extreme court coverage, you need an explosive reaction. The drop, step, and drive footwork proves quickest on all types of surfaces for getting to difficult balls. By shifting your weight off the outside foot and tucking the driving foot under your torso, your body weight provides traction, much like a front-wheel drive car in the snow, using the weight of the engine to give the tires traction. In one quick move, the drop step establishes upper body momentum in the direction you need to move. When the ball's only 3 or 4 steps away from you, you won't need such an explosive reaction. The weight-shifting drive footwork is effective for less challenging balls. With footage of yourself in a good reaction position, your feet 1.5 to 2 shoulder widths apart, mark the positions of your feet. Draw an X in between the marks as shown and check for an explosive first step reaction. Your weight shifting off the outside foot, driving hard up the center.
We've talked about the killer forehand. First of all, you've got to make up your mind you're going to hit that ball. There are lots of parts to developing the killer forehand. The important part is timing. As soon as the ball leaves the opponent's racket, that's when the preparation starts. Remember, you can't prepare too soon.
To improve your reaction time, try this drill at home. You got a partner on the other side. When they make contact with the ball, say the word ball. When it's your turn to hit it, say the word hit. Not only will this put you in better position to allow you to be able to hit more killer forehands, but it's also going to improve your reaction time and anticipation skills.
You got to spring on that like a tiger. That's excellent, and you didn't have to make that shot any bigger than what you just did. And that's the point I also want to bring out, David. You don't have to hit those approach defensive shots for outright winners, okay? You don't have to hit those approach shots for winners. In an interview, the same question. Nick, what are you looking for when you're looking for a possible professional player? I'll tell you what I'm looking for. In order to have a killer forehand, you better have quick feet.
Like riding first gear on a bicycle, your first 2 to 5 steps have to be quick and on the ground and maximum acceleration. That'll help you run down difficult balls like the wide angle shot. For a test of it, let's go to the track and a race with Kenny.
this race, we've got the little guy on the left who will be racing in first gear versus the big man. He'll be starting off in 10th gear. The gears of a bicycle are a good comparison to footwork strides in running. When you run, first gear footwork consists of short, powerful strides, the feet pumping quickly. 10th gear footwork are long, big, reaching strides, good for maintaining speed but not quick on acceleration. For maximum acceleration getting to difficult balls, use first gear footwork. From this angle, notice that first gear sprint footwork is always on the balls of the feet. If your heels are touching the ground in the first 2 to 5 steps, you're in 10th gear.
You're going to come up and catch the ball a little sooner. The more consistent you get, the more confident you get, the more challenging your mind becomes. I can do more. I can do more.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's event, featuring a match between test subject X and test subject Y. Let's get it on.
One of the trademarks of a great athlete is their ability to move with footwork as graceful and smooth as a dance. Several footwork patterns are commonly used and can be considered the dance steps of tennis, allowing great players to appear as if they are floating or gliding around the court. A strong foundation is a big part of creating this illusion. The crossover step allows for fluid side-to-side movement, quickly moving to and from the ball. The cross-behind step works well for moving to the side and back as well as in recovery. The shuffle step covers short distance as well. The adjustment steps are vital to fine-tuning your balance and positioning in your hitting stance. Practicing the various footwork patterns, draw a line above your head, as we have created with the carpenter's level. Watch your head as you move side to side. If you see excessive bobbing up and down, you're not gliding. You're wasting energy.
See, right there, you see how Xavier's hitting that ball and how he hits, and then he starts gliding over. He knows exactly where he's going. And that's what I like on that footwork, which is so much more positive. Okay? He hit and he's gliding.
You can't fire a cannon from a canoe. The hitting stances provide power, balance, and disguise to your strokes. When arriving at the ball, you need to be in a stance that allows you all shot possibilities. The two desirable hitting stances are an open stance and a neutral stance. For a better understanding of that, let's go to the sport of baseball. Swing! Imagine if the batter had to start outside the batter's box before the pitch is thrown, and then had to enter the box as the pitcher throws the ball. The batter would enter the box with his back foot. In tennis, that's called the open stance forehand. The killer forehand also is hit using the neutral stance, where the front foot steps forward toward your target. You must master hitting the killer forehand from both the open and the neutral stance. A common problem in many players is the closed hitting stance. That would be the same as the batter entering the batter's box with their front foot first. This is firing a cannon from a canoe. We have a bungee cord attached to the back fence and X in a closed stance. No balance, no power, no killer forehand.
Here's how your stance can affect your stroke. Notice the bungee attached to the racket that regulates leverage, or the position of the wrist that you want a contact point. You can see that in an open stance, there are no problems. From a closed stance, everything changes. When you enter the batter's box with only the front foot, and you're forced to hit from a closed stance, it makes you have to reach to what's actually the follow-through position to make contact. while also snapping your wrist, turning your contact zone into a contact point. The closed stance forehand. No balance, no power, no consistency, no control. So keep your killer forehand out of that canoe. You'll notice the open stance has only the back foot in the batter's box. Frequently, there's no time to step into the ball, and you're forced to hit from the open stance. The neutral stance allows you to drive your weight into the ball. It is commonly used when coming forward, and often when the ball's hit down the center. With footage of yourself, check and see if you're hitting effectively from both situations. Remember, avoid the closed stance altogether.
Excellent feet. Feet are looking good. Wonderful movement right there. Notice right there with Elena, she's able to hit the open stance and the neutral stance, okay? Now, never once did she get into blocking herself out. What I also like is she went from an open to a semi-neutral and a neutral. She had everything, which means that everything is dependent on her feet. All right, I like it.
Tennis is a very different game when it's played on clay. The slick, sandy surface requires excellent footwork technique. Much like in tournament ping pong, where the competitors are distant from the table's edge, the topspin rallies of clay court play keep the players deep in the court. It is more of a game of endurance, requiring a strong-willed mentality, patience, and a grinder physique. You have to explode from rest into motion. You have to be sharp on change of direction and recovery. In this comparison, you'll see one of the benefits of using clay court movement technique. In both situations, X makes contact with the ball well inside the single sideline. But notice how much further the killer on the run technique pulls X off the court before recovery. The killer on the slide allows X to easily recover and continue the point.
He can flat out right hit it.
Now that we know our desired hitting stances, what creates the correct hitting stance? Early and correct racket preparation. Because your hand and feet are trying to work together to set up the stance for the stroke, it is your hitting hand and preparation that sends the message down to the corresponding foot. To better understand this, let's turn off the light.
If the butt of your racket were a flashlight, in preparation you would want to keep the flashlight ahead of your body as you approach the hitting zone. This will ensure that you wind up in the right hitting stance. Remember, prepare early enough to allow your feet time to set up. For better power and control, align the beam of light from the flashlight to the path of the oncoming ball. This is what we call being in the slot in the backswing. You can get a better feel for ideal alignment
with the baseball glove drill.
From this angle, check and see if you're entering the adjustment zone with your hand and racket ahead of the body. This will automatically set you into the open stance with the option of stepping into the neutral.
As Adam began moving for that forehand, he dropped it down here. As he begins moving for that forehand, I can see Venus Williams, I can see Eva, I can see them moving right up in here. I can see Agassi, I can see that racket head going right up there. So we don't want to lose about 2 feet of extra swing.
Having a killer forehand around the house can be quite useful. While working on supper, we can also be working on X's swing line.
The killer forehand requires rapid acceleration on contact, but also requires the butt of the racket to lead the forward part of the swing until you get to the ball. Then the racket head makes acceleration coming inside or outside, giving you the killer forehand.
Hold it right there with the hand and the foot arriving at the path of the oncoming ball. This is where it all comes together. Good foundation, early first reaction, good footwork, technique moving to the ball, and an early and correct preparation has you in a killer forehand hitting stance. Now you're ready to fire forward. To get a better understanding of forward racket acceleration, use a towel and have your partner pull it out of your hand. It simulates the stroke. To test your flight path or swing line, have someone stand behind you with the racket between their hands. The racket needs to pull forward, straight out of the slot. Don't let the racket touch either hand on the way out. What we don't want to see is the racket touching the hand first. Not good. No power. No killer forehand.
So when you can hit that forehand a little bigger, move your feet, sliding around, racket acceleration, hitting the ball 3 inches higher than you normally hit it, then you're developing a killer forehand at its maximum degree. And that's what I want.
Put your stroke to the test to see if you can make it out of the slot unscathed. For maximum racket head speed, you must pull the trigger.
I want you to see a practice session. One of my top students, I've had him for 7 years. His work ethics are impeccable. It's all business. They're out here for a purpose. Purpose is fulfilled, practice is over. And that's what I want you to remember. Whether it's for the killer forehand, any phase of the game. 1, 2, 3, excellent. 4, down the line, same way. 1, arm is in a little closer. 2, then extend away. Perfect. Up and away. That's up, that's excellent. You can't hit a ball better than now. Slow motion, up, arm in here, then extend away. Half the power, nice and slow. Excellent. Yep. Perfect, Tommy, no harder. Yes, sir. Now the same thing, a little quicker with the racket. 1, 2, perfect.
Welcome to X's Kitchen. Today, Chef X will serve up his breakfast specialty: fresh squeezed orange juice and scrambled eggs.
As you pull the trigger and the racket starts forward out of the slot, the path which your arm travels is called your swing line. If you watch the right elbow through the stroke, you'll notice that it travels on a diagonal line out and across the body as the racket head accelerates into the ball. By extending to a full reach on your follow-through, you will create a contact zone that can be upwards of 18 inches in length, giving you better margin for error and control. For best leverage, try to consistently make contact in stage 3, out in front of your body. However, advanced players, through rapid acceleration of the racket at contact point, have the ability to make contact in stages 1 and 2 as well, and still manage to execute the various placements on the court. The follow-through is the key to success when executing strokes under pressure. The tendency for many players is to tighten up, which restricts the follow-through. Extending to the target lengthens the contact zone, giving you control and consistency. Remember, extend your follow-through, especially under pressure. As the stroke accelerates out of the slot, focus on the elbow and how it passes through the track. Check your swing to see if your arm is bent and flexible and whether your elbow stays on track.
We have to hit big killer forehand, but have a percentage of these shots can go in. And the contact points are all a little different. Those players that have tremendous racket acceleration can wait just a second once in a while. Those that hit a little bit more classical want to meet it out in front of you a little bit more. But all comes from the racket speed.
And here's another way to practice your swing line. Like the high wire circus performer using the pole to maintain balance, don't forget in tennis to use not only your hitting arm, but your opposite arm.
The use of the opposite arm is essential to generating killer forehand speed while maintaining consistency and accuracy. When you're forced wide in the court, the opposite arm can serve as a counterbalance, keeping your shoulders level through the stroke. By separating your arms early, this technique anchors down your swing, providing balance and a stronger pulling action. Practice hitting with a small weight in your hand. This simulates the feel of the counterbalance and the anchoring effect of the stroke. When the conditions are right to grip the clip, the opposite arm is used with a sweeping motion, stretching the chest muscles into the stroke. Much like a baseball pitcher's glove arm, this sweeping action lengthens the lever, providing additional power through shoulder rotation. A great way to get a feel for the anchoring effect and benefits of the opposite arm is to practice the hand on the hip grip. This will give you the feel of stretching the chest muscles into the stroke. The opposite arm can anchor down the stroke on the wide shot and lengthen the lever with a sweeping action to give you more power on the killer forehand. Either way, it's always serving as a counterbalance to the stroke. Check and see how your stroke matches up to the pocket killer forehand. Another characteristic of the killer forehand that makes it so explosive is the loading of the weight into the back of the stance. Used in both the open and neutral stances, together with the opposite arm. This technique will put your killer forehand over the top. Practice hitting strictly, sinking your weight down. Try to keep your weight centered on the back foot throughout the stroke. This will give you a good feel for it. In comparison to video of yourself, focus on how the body winds up and coils like a spring, hips up to the shoulders, and sinks down into the back of the stance. This allows X to uncoil using the opposite arm to add more power. Loading the hip down below the height of the contact point, or the loading line, together with the opposite arm, will put the finishing touches to achieving killer forehand speed.
Yep, don't overhit. Now hold it. Now remember, when we are building a big forehand, we're not just knocking the forehand and saying, hey, I hope 1 of 5 go in. I want 5 out of 5 to go in. Otherwise, what the heck is a big forehand?
Never underestimate your opponent. No matter how well you hit the shot, get in the habit of always recovering your court position. As you move, you should keep your shoulders square to the net. Otherwise, use the quickest footwork possible. Remember, the average shot only takes less than 2 seconds to get to your opponent. So choose shots that will help you maintain good court position, unless you're hitting a point-ending shot. Check and see on recovery if your shoulders are facing the net as you move. Remember, you can't commit to a shoulder turn until after the opponent's hit the shot. Work on good crossover speed in the first few steps.
Look how they sink down. You're using those legs. That's what you've got to do. Use your legs. You want to hit the killer forehand, look like it, act like it. It's your attitude. You may even want to dress like a killer forehand. New uniform. Killer opening glasses. The man, the attitude, Xavier Maurice. Killer forehand is a packaged weapon. It is a F-18 loaded up to the kill that's coming at you in all directions.
Here at the lab, we're currently working on some new test subjects, starting off with the proper grip, trying to find one of the 3 commonly used grips of the killer forehand. And of course, the strong foundation, working on the first step reaction and trying to find the proper posture for a strong foundation. The hitting stances provide power, balance, and disguise, an open stance and a neutral stance. And then, of course, for racket head acceleration, use the towel test. It simulates the stroke. Don't forget about your opposite arm, the opposite arm, and the leverage band. Practice each of these concepts until you have it mastered, and soon you'll be known as the killer forehand. From the Voluntary Sports Academy, I'm Professor Fester saying Auf Wiedersehen and Dankeschön. We'd like to have a little marshmallow.
Yeah, it's got to be up on the shoulder.
He's the one letting the damn thing drop. I go to his head. He plays like he's playing squash. He plays squash marshmallow. Oh.
Yeah, that was
What is